Glasses on. We're going to be getting smart. All right, in today's video, we're going to be doing some exciting, some crazy stuff. We're going to be running some numbers. At the time of this video, interest rates are up. And it's kind of getting into a buyer's market, right? You're not competing for those deals. So what does this all mean when you're trying to get into the short-term rental, right? You hear all these 30, 40, even 60% and higher cash on cash returns. Well, guess what? You're not going to quite get that, but there's some ways that we can try to figure out and get creative. But I'm going to take you through how I've been running the basic numbers here and give you some tips and tricks on what I've been doing. I'm Stan Kennedy, and this channel is called Real Estate Stan. And if you're new here, this channel is all about taking you through my journey for short-term rental. It's time to geek out and get these numbers going. Let's do it. All right, so let's jump right into this. The first thing I'm gonna do is, now you can, there's all kinds of different spreadsheets here. This one is the Rob built, the original V1 calculator that he has on his site. So I'll have a link below to Rob built, but you can go to Bigger Pockets, Real Estate Robinsons, a few other. You can find these calculators out here, but they're pretty simple. They're just expenses and your revenue, and it's kind of specific to short-term rental, which is kind of cool. So the first thing I did, I kind of created a new data, what I call a new tab here. And basically, this is going to be my different data points, right? So I kind of call this a data set altogether. And with this data set is just different ways of looking at the data. And so we're going to go through we're going to go through the AirDNA rentalizer, the PriceLabs Market Dashboard, and then we're going to expand that a little bit more, look at creating a comp for my specific neighborhood. And that also allows me to go into Airbnb, look at that neighborhood, kind of look at your competitions. And then also we're going to go ahead and look at call it property management. So that's the other thing. You can get a data point there, say, hey, I'm looking to buy something. I want to get, basically I want to get what you think this thing will run, and they'll be glad typically to do that. Just be nice and call them. And then, you can look at a few different comps and actually find one that's in your neighborhood or close to it, and find some ones that are comparable. So if you're doing a cabin in the Smokies and it's a 3-bedroom with a view, try to find something similar here, and then kind of dig into them on Airbnb and see what their calendar is like, see what their daily rate is, those type of things. So that's another thing. So a lot of these are, this is what I call, this is another one. Sometimes you'll see, and you have to take this with a grain of salt. Sometimes the MLS will say, hey, this generated XX in 2021. So there's a lot of different things here. And then, based on all this, you should have a pretty good idea what your gut is kind of telling you here. So, so that's kind of my approach. We're going to put in average daily rate. We're going to put in the yearly gross income. Now, kind of asterisk this. For the most part, gross is gross. That's your service fees. That's your, your cleaning fee and everything else, right? You want to make sure gross is gross, right? So that's the definition of it. But I'll caveat that with saying something like PriceLabs, for example, or something like AirDNA is going to include that in the number. But what's kind of interesting is their average daily rate actually, I don't think does. And then you also, if you go into there, it actually won't equal this. If you look at the average daily rate, the occupancy, it doesn't really compute here. And I think that's because it doesn't include some of the fees there. Now, Pricing Labs doesn't include any fees. So when you look at that number, you have to take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so again, this is based on my knowledge here. I've been running numbers, and you know what? Running numbers is fun. I actually kind of like it. Maybe I'm crazy, I don't know, but I love running the numbers. I don't know what it is. So it's just kind of my thing. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to it here. So the first thing we want to do is go on to something like Redfin or Zillow and pick out a property. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and just type in, let's say Pigeon Forge. Okay. Okay. Now, let's just draw it up here. Let's just say this is going to be your area here. Now, normally I would go right up to this road here, but anyway, this is fine. Apply. What we're trying to do, then the next thing you want to do is make sure you got for sale, that's cool, and this is just your basic stuff, right? So let's say we're looking at, well, I'll tell you what, let's say we're looking in the 800 range. So I'm going to put in 800,000. Let's put in 700 to 850. Oh. Okay, so let's find a house. Now the next thing that I do is look at the bedrooms, and you can do a two bedroom. There's tons of those. If you want to kind of go up, you can go to 3 bedrooms or even 4 bedrooms. Okay, so let's just say a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and let's apply that. Home type, 1 houses only, that's good. And then more, you can kind of go in here and do what you want, but I'm going to just keep that for now. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is just sort high to low, right? We want to look at the top ones, the ones we can afford, but let's take a look at the top end here and see what's going on. Or you can just kind of go to the bottom and start and just sort low to high, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to just pick out a home here. So this is very nice, 3 bedroom, 4 bath. And the other thing that I'll caution you is you'll see a lot of new constructions in here. So some of these you'll look at and you go, wow. But there'll be new construction like this one right here. This one says new construction, so obviously that's going to be a little bit different of a deal. We want kind of one already built. So let's just pick this one right here, 849 3124 Cherokee Way. And wow, this looks very nice, very new. Yeah, you can tell they haven't even put sod down. Very nice. Wow, little community. All new inside, nice design, very high quality. So you can tell this is kind of, if you were to look at the 50th percentile or the 75th percentile, this above 75th, I kind of look at views in a pool cabin. But if it's super nice, that would also be, and it's pretty close. I would say, if you could do in the 75th percentile there, maybe the low 75th percentile. So anyway, this is pretty nice, just kind of looking at it. Very nice decor. It's just all new. Okay, so shoot, I think this is a good example. Let's just go with this for the purposes of this video. So very nice. Okay, now let's do one more thing here before we go. Let's kind of take a look at where it's at. I'm just going to click on that, and we're going to zoom out, because one of the things I want to do is make sure it isn't too far out. Me personally, I think this is pretty acceptable here. I think that's pretty close. It's right off the split there. So I would say that's okay. Probably a little further out. I kind of like this area and this area here, but between these 2 roads is kind of what I'm looking for. There. Okay. All right, let's get to the next step. Let's go ahead and just punch this thing right into AirDNA. Now, if you're not familiar with AirDNA, to do this part, you don't really have to sign up. Now, if you sign up, you really have to pick an area, which is kind of tricky because they have Pigeon Forge, they have Gatlinburg, and then Sevierville. And that's 3 different things you would have to purchase in order, and you really would have to do that if you're looking at the Smokies market, right? So you're going to have to purchase all 3. I think I have Sevierville purchased at this point, so we're going to just check that out. But anyway, you don't need to do that. That's really if you want to get into the research, the rates, the occupancy, all that sort of thing. But I'll show you that in a minute. But really, if you just come down to the invest and you have the rentalizer here, this is really all you need. You can put the address in. So let's go back here, and we're just going to copy and paste this bad boy. Control C. Come back, Paste that in. Bam. Bam. Let's see what we got. Before, you get like, oh man, this is not going to work. Let's go ahead. For some reason, it's not smart enough, even though you gave it the address. I feel like because the MLS is part of the APIs that it's actually pulling. And I don't know why I just can't pre-fill this. So you kind of have to do this anyway manually. So this was a 3, what was this? A 3.4. I have a feeling Zillow and some other ones round up. Actually say here 3.5 bath. Right. Okay, perfect. So we'll go back here. We're 3.5, which that's pretty good. And then let's go to, we'll say 2 people, a bedroom, and then maybe, so that's 6. Let's say we get to 8, and we'll update. Now, I have purchased this, so you're going to see some information that you typically wouldn't see because the comps, they actually show you what they're using for the comps on this. And so in this example, wow, not too promising, 70,000. And so if you do the quick math on a property this expensive, 850,000, I can already tell you, just because I've been running so much of this is going to be really tough. But let's just go through it. And so this thing's bringing up, so let's just plug this in. But let's take a look because I have purchased it. Now, if you haven't purchased this will be kind of grayed out or disabled. But since I've purchased it, you'll actually be able to see the different comps that it thinks it should be. And what's even cooler is over here, as you highlight them, it's kind of bouncing like a little ball. I don't know why they do that. But this, actually the interface on this is much better than PriceLabs. So I got to give it to AirDNA on the whole user experience and interacting with their website. Much better. But I will say that, so you can kind of go in here and you can see we're all kind of in this area, right? Right off sort of the split here. So let's just take a look at what they've got us comparing to. Here's a 3. Yep, the bedrooms look good. So I feel like these comps, just from a size and that sort of thing, looks pretty good. And so then it also kind of gives you what they've been doing, right? So you can, so for example, this one hasn't been available the whole year. So it's only 68%, 329 average daily rate, and then 77,000 potential if it was actually available more, right? So that's kind of what you have there, and that's kind of why it's saying like a 70. Okay, on this one, and before we kind of dig into them and just kind of click on them, I'm just giving you kind of the overview here. But you definitely want to just go in and look at each one of them and then try to figure out which one kind of matches yours the best, right? But we'll do that in a minute. I just want to get like, hey, where are we at here? So this one here is very nice. It's a luxury cabin. They're a 472 average daily rate. So super nice there. Psalm 2705, a 3-bedroom luxury cabin, 72, but again, 306, not a full year, only 42% occupancy, a pretty high rate. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, here's one. You got one. Now, this one's 106,000. So, you've got 106,000, then you got a few that hasn't been available all year. And so that's kind of, so when you look at this number, you really have to take it with a grain of salt, right? So that's kind of the overview there. What's even cooler, let's take a look at, let's say this bad boy right here is 106,000. So that would be a little bit more in line there. That would get you closer. So you can see here that it's getting its data both from Airbnb and Vrbo. So let's go ahead and click on Airbnb, and it'll actually take you to the listing. So here's where you would kind of go, okay, there's a pool home. Okay, so the comp really isn't there because pool homes jack the price up, right? So right away, I would tell you that Everything else, it seems like a super nice cabin, and everything else is kind of hitting. And you can see here, what the world, 219? Just kind of look at some of these dates here and start playing around with it. Well, hey, they're booked. I'm telling you, man, that's crazy. So, yeah, they're booked through November. Wow. Is that for real? Like December. Okay, so they start to open up in December. So very nice. Okay. And then so another thing you kind of do is you kind of look at like, okay, yeah, they've got a lot about the home. Not really. Okay, so right here about the space, not a lot of information here. I don't think this is very well done. So I think there could be a lot more developed here. Talk about each bedroom, really walk the person through it. So I feel like there could definitely be more built out here. So, but hey, they're not complaining. This thing's booked up. Then kind of look at the reviews. 23 reviews, not a lot of reviews, which is kind of weird. And you can kind of see, just to make sure they aren't using it right now and have it blocked up. But I did see a few days available, which tells me that, yeah, it's kind of been going all year. That's going to get you up towards the 90th percentile, right? And so you have more capability to make more revenue with a pool home or a fantastic view, right? There's different types of views. So anyway, so this one I would say is your high end, okay? So let's go ahead and close that. Let's go back to another one. Let's take a look at this bad boy right here. But it's only been available, that's 354 days, 56,000 revenue. Not super impressive, honestly. Like, that's not a lot. And so again, you can kind of start going through this. It's just not a lot here on the listing. Like, this is it. There, the photos, I don't think the photos are very nice. They're not professional. They look like they're off a cell phone. So that's the biggest thing there, is get the professional photos. Okay, so I'm not digging this one here. So we're going to just go back. So anyway, that's kind of, you can start to go through that process. We won't go through each one here. But let's just plug this number in, because the thing I don't like about AirDNA that I like about PriceLabs is you can't really exclude any of these. Like, I can't kick this out, right? And so the data set that they return back, that the data, their comps that they're working with, is what it is, right? So then you just have to kind of pull them down and kind of manually figure out which ones work, right? To further refine it, which is going to be another step. So 70,300. Let's go in our data set. And occupancy is going to be 54%. That's not very good. It's not a lot. And the smokies, man, I mean, everything, all the high performers are like at least 80. But again, there's different philosophies. It's not all about the occupancy. Let's see here, in a 355 rate. Okay. So let's just go for that for now. Now, the next thing I'm going to take you to is PriceLabs. Now, you may know PriceLabs for basically managing the price, right, based on supply and demand. It's basically raising and lowering your price based off of, what's available and what trends and what events are happening. So it does a really remarkable job there. But what you may not know is the market dashboard part of this, and we're going to look at that now. So let's go to PriceLabs. Now, again, you'll see there's the dynamic pricing part. That's the part that you may be more familiar with. But honestly, I'm loving the market dashboard right now, and I'll show you why. So we'll click on that, and basically you can create a new dashboard, daily refresh, but you only pay for like $9.99 per dashboard. I'm gonna pay for it for you guys, for the sake of all the knowledge that you're just going to be pulling in. All right. So anyway, I copied that. Let's go back. We'll create that. Sevierville. Now, you can tell here it's kilometers. I mean, come on, guys. Man, I love your stuff, but you got to take another pass at this user experience here, right? I don't know what a damn kilometer is. I'm sorry. I don't. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to say 15. Now, one thing to know is when you get to the next step here, it'll kind of show you the area that covers, right? So you can definitely move that in and out. I think for us, that's good enough for what we're trying to do. Subscribe to the channel. Okay. Sorry about that. A little plug there. But please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Super new here, and I really appreciate it. Now, you can do 1,000 listings, which I think is fine for now. But you can, if it's very dense, you can do the 5,000, which is 19. Let's just do this. I think that'll be enough data for us for this demonstration here. So we'll go ahead and generate it now. That's being processed. Now, basically the way this works is, just a quick sort of tech rundown on how these things work. So basically you have AirDNA, you've got Verbo, let's say. There's other ones, but let's say those two is what PriceLabs are going to use. And basically what's going to happen is they have databases, right, that they store all this information in, each one of them. So let's say AirDNA, they have their application, their web interface, and they have a database that's on the back end. The database stores all the data, right? And so between what you use in Airbnb and the database is called APIs, right? That's basically the layer that sits in between them. And what's cool is their interface uses their own APIs, but they also expose those APIs to these third-party companies like PriceLabs, right? Like AirDNA. And so those same APIs that, basically get to the data are being exposed. So very cool stuff, very cool tech stuff. So what it's doing right now is it's going out to those APIs, both on Verbo as well as AirDNA, and it's basically running a query and it's pulling all the information it needs, right? So once it pulls all that information, it slices and dices that data, and it may even do some AI on it, some artificial intelligence, and start to do projections on it. So anyway, there's a few steps there from a technical perspective, but that's in general the way it works. And I'll do another video just a little bit more techie on that in a video to come. What you talking about, Willis? Okay, so here we go. We got Show Dashboard. Let's open that up and close that other tab. Now this thing's going to basically, you're going to have some comp sets. Now the way PriceLabs works is it has Airbnb and Verbo separately. And you can see here right now, for some reason it's only got Airbnb. Maybe it hasn't finished loading or something. Okay, so Airbnb, let's just say, then we can kind of filter this out and we can go back to our 3 bedrooms here. Again, the interface just isn't there, guys. Apply the filter. These will update based on that bedroom, okay? And so this is like the overall number that you'll get. And we'll kind of look down here for a second, and you can see that it went ahead and ran, and you can see that 71,000. You've got a 341 average daily rate, and let's just plug that in because, basically the way this works is there's remember I showed you on AirDNA the little bouncy? Well, this is basically their interface, and this is another thing, like I can't see this because just the interface is just so wonky, but it's just so good you just deal with it. So hopefully one day they'll kind of get this straight. PriceLabs, if you're listening, come on guys, just take another pass at the UX. All right, the user experience. All right, so you can see here the greener, the lower, the redder, the higher. So you can start to kind of dig into this. And then as you hover over it, it kind of tells you, your revenue the past 365 days is 73,000 and so on. Now, what I'm going to do, this is a broad sort of data point here, and it's taking everything from the lower percentile all the way up to the higher percentile. So with that, I think apples to apples, what I would do is just go ahead, plug this number in, and we're going to go through and do another pass here and actually create our own comp set, which is really cool because we can take out some of the low ones, we can take out some of the high ones, and we can get ones that are very similar. And that's the number, in my mind, that's the golden number for me. Okay, now let's go ahead and just record that. So 71,100. So we'll go back to our trusty dusty spreadsheet and 1,100 I think is what I said. I forgot already. I don't have a very good memory. Let's see here. And we've got a 341 average daily rate. It's not too far off of that. And then we also have 58%. Okay, I don't know why I keep doing that. Okay, bam. So that's basically that number there. So you can see here it's actually kind of close, but that's not the end of the story. Now I'm going to show you some. Are you guys ready to see some cool stuff? All right, brace yourself. You're not going to believe this. You're just not going to believe it. Actually, I really love this stuff. I don't know why, but I love it. Maybe you could tell. I don't know. But anyway, so now this is going to be the really cool thing that we can do. If you scroll down, this actually gives you all of the data. Now, each row is a property, right? Is a comp. So this is a comp, this is a comp. And so then you have the column headings here. These are all the different attributes, if you will. So you've got a bedrooms, you got this. So what I normally do, this is really cool, and you can see I've got 15 pages here. If I scroll past this little learning thing here, I've got 15 pages of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess 10. So 150 is basically what they're comping here. So the first thing that I do with this, because we want to kind of bring this list down to properties that are more similar, right? So the next thing that I'm going to do is actually go into the column filters, and you can start adding things like bathrooms. I think is important because especially in the Smoky Mountains, bathrooms determines, I think helps determine how many can sleep there, right? There's a limiting factor if you only have 1 or 2 bedrooms, because you don't want a bunch of people fighting over the toilet, I guess, or the hairdryer, or putting makeup on. That's what I do. Anyway, so if you're interested in pets allowed, so you can do some different cool things here. I also like to take a look because they also tell you if it's managed by a property manager, whether it's an individual like us, right, or a small, medium, and large property management, which is really cool. I think this is awesome. So you get to kind of see that. The other thing that I like to see as I kind of go through this is listing type. If you're in an area, for example, it's a shared room or a full house, but most of these in this area is going to be, the entire place. But that's what that is, listing type, pets allowed. And these are kind of Airbnb only metrics. Again, you can go in and do this with Vrbo as well. But I just tend to do this with Airbnb, so that's I think primarily where the revenue percentage-wise is going to come heavier on that end, I think. But if you're doing a pool home, for example, this is a great metric. Now, I will caveat this one with if it's within a resort that has a pool, that'll pop up. So just because you click pool doesn't mean it's got a nice pool inside of the cabin, right? So anyway, that's some things that I've kind of learned just digging around into this. But okay, now, so I think that's fine for now. let's go ahead and just close that. And you can see, okay, yeah. So this is an individual managed like me and you. This is a small property management. So I think this is kind of cool. And then the dynamic ranging pricing is if you go into the dynamic pricing and you're using this and they are using this to price their property. What's cool is PriceLabs has that data, right? They say, oh, they have their pricing algorithm set to high or moderate or low. So it's kind of cool to be able to see what's been set here. Okay, now we're going to slice this data down. Now there's two ways to do this, and I'm going to do it the very simple way here on this. But if you're used to spreadsheets and that sort of thing, you can actually download the CSV, and that's basically a spreadsheet. If you download that, you can slice and dice the data however you want. And so if you're really good at it, a spreadsheet, that's going to be the way for you. And you can really do some cool algorithms or formulas. You know what I'm saying? But for the purpose of this, I'm not opening up spreadsheet and doing all that. I'm just going to do it within here. Now, it's a little funky, but you can start to filter out in this column here. So, for example, I know 3-bedroom, we already know that because we already applied this filter. But before you start doing that, you want to do this create comp set here because you want to be able to save this comp. Basically, when you're finished working through all this, you can save this comp and then it'll be available right here and you'll have your own comp to be able to come back to. How cool is that? I mean, this is the kind of stuff I think is awesome about the market dashboard. I just wish they fix this user interface. Okay, I'm not going to complain no more. I'm sorry. All right, so let's go ahead then, and we're going to go ahead. Okay, so since I hit create comp, it kind of brought all of them in here. Now, you want to go ahead, I'm going to say equal to 3. That's 3 bedrooms, okay? Now, you can type just 3, but I found out, I'm pretty sure that's kind of like a like, right? In other words, if there's a 3 somewhere in the data, right, which, you know, hopefully there's only 1. So just to play it safe, put an equal sign and a 3, and that'll give you the exact match. Now, star rating. This is very cool too, because one of the complaints that I have is as you're looking through, let's say AirDNA and some of that sort of thing, you start to look through those comps, some of the ratings suck, you know? You don't want to be looking at a rating that's like 3.8 or 4.2, right? That just says they don't know how to manage it. And so it's just not a comp, right? If you're going to be good at this and put your time into it, you should be able to do that, right? Get higher than that. So what I would say, so you use the greater sign here, okay? So if you don't know what that is, just kind of Google logic spreadsheet. It's basically the same as like a spreadsheet, I would say. So this is basically greater than or equal to, I'm going to say 4.5. I would normally say 4.6, but the purpose of this, bam. Now you can see down here, we've already whittled it down to 12 pages or 120 because they're 10 per page here. Okay, reviews, another cool one. If you only want to look at reviews where they have greater than 50 or greater than 100, right? I'm going to say 50. But honestly, that should be higher. If you're really trying to comp, you know, and saying, hey, what's the potential of this property? I feel like that should be higher. Price, I wouldn't do that. Let's just get all of them. Occupancy, this is another one that I would suggest because I don't want to see ones that have only been on the market, for example, 29 days, right? So I'm going to say occupancy is greater than 60%. Let's say 58%. Honestly, I feel like in the smokies, you should be above 70 at the minimum, but I'm thinking like, you know, who knows? So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Look at this. Now we're all the way down to 3 pages, 30, right? So this is kind of cool. Okay, one more thing you can do is active nights. Again, I'm going to say greater than, I'm just going to say 340 days, or maybe let's say 300 days. Okay, so now I feel like I've got a great data set now, okay? That's sort of the things that we're looking at. And you go through each one of these pages. There's only 3 pages now. But wait, there's more. I always want to say that. one more thing you want to do before you start actually, because you can click on these, right? If I click on this, it'll actually take you to the Airbnb, and now you can start to look at, okay, oh yeah, this is just like mine, right? Oh, it's close to me. I think I could beat this person, right? And you start to look at it and go, oh, that's terrible photos. They don't really have a lot of description. I think I can beat this person, and they're doing, 90,000 or 110,000, whatever that number is. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. One more thing you want to do, and this is what I would typically do here, is if you click on these little buttons, which sometimes is kind of tough, you can sort ascending, descending, and so forth. So what I would like to do, first of all, honestly, because I'm looking at a property that's 849,000. Now, granted, this is a little bit more of a buyer's market, so you can kind of come in under that. But we're just going to say 849,000. Okay. I really hope, these are similar to what this cabin is, right? Because I just know after experience, if you start getting in the 80s and the 70s, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to cop. Not with the interest rate right now. So you can get a haircut, where, hey, you're making some cash flow, and that's a strategy. We'll talk about that in a minute. And that's perfectly fine as long as you're cash flowing and, you want to take the chance that one day you could refi. That's kind of where I'm at. I didn't get I'm not getting the best cash on cash return as I dreamed of. But at this point, if you get a good deal on it, and you get the property that you want, that's kind of the name of the game right now. And then bam, you could refi, hopefully, when things kind of flip around. So that's a strategy. You have to figure out what your strategy is, and that's part of the analysis paralysis that you can get into. Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to start taking a look at these, but you can see also on the revenue on the low side is 50,000. So I can tell you right now, that's just not going to work. So basically what I would do is just start taking a look at some of these guys here. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4 deck. Yeah, it probably has a view. Ours doesn't have a view. So this is definitely, I would say, a view or a pool, or a view and a pool. That's like top, Okay. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and say that's good. So the idea is just to kind of go through these and figure out which ones are comparable, right? Now I won't do that right here, but just kind of look at the design. You can see here, this is super nice. And just kind of get an idea, of the different comps. And then what you can do is, what I typically do is I select all, and that selects all 3 pages. And then once you start kind of saying, this one doesn't really go. So you just start kind of unchecking the ones that really don't work, right? And so as you kind of go through this, and again, just for the purposes of brevity here, we don't want to go through all this. And again, I got to slide up to get past this little thing. But let's just say, no on this one. And like I said, you're going to have to go in and check out all these. Here's one in the 70,000. Now this is the one that the range they said we were in, right? So let's just check out a couple of these. Well, that didn't work. Let's check out another one. This is the low 70s that it said it's going to do. Okay, that's okay there, but I don't know. That's nice. So anyway, we'll just kind of keep this. The idea is just to kind of go through and say, nah, not this one. Oh, this one's too high. It has a pool, right? And then the next step is generate comp set, right? And when you do that, then you're going to have a brand new one that's going to show up in your drop down. So let's generate it. Oop, I didn't put a name. Okay, comment below what kind of tools you use. All right. Are you a PriceLabs? Are you AirDNA? Are you MashVisor? What are you? All right, so we'll go ahead, try that again. Yep, let's confirm that. Now, pro tip, I'm not a pro. If you don't check anything here, it'll kind of give you an error that says please select, and I always do that. I always forget to check and uncheck here. But anyway, now it says it's generated. So guess what? If you go ahead and follow me on this one, now we can basically, come up here. Again, this was for the whole thing, right? Now we can go down and you can see, please subscribe, like, and comment. Comset. Sorry for the plug. All right, so we got that. Apply that filter. Now that's going to update these numbers with, let's say, now I didn't go through every single one, but normally I would go through every single one and I would get a tight set, right? That actually comps out like this. So just for example here. Okay, you can see here, a little bit better here. Now we're like 79,900. So let's go to our trusty, dusty spreadsheet. 79,000. So you can see here, I've got PriceLabs focus area, more comps, 79,000. See, I already forgot it. I told you, man, I forget stuff. I can forget it quick. 79,900. So, which is pretty cool. And average daily rate 314. Ooh, it's actually less. And then you've got a 70% occupancy. So more occupancy, less of a rate, and more revenue, right? So now you can kind of see that's a little bit different of a data point, right? Okay, so that's number 3. Explore Airbnb homes in the same neighborhood. This is, again, basically what you would do is you would go back to that and go into Airbnb, right? And you'll want to start your search. And let's say severe. Yep. Bam. Right. And I'll just show you here real quick. I won't go too much into this. Let's see, leave the dates open and just search. And basically we're going to go in the map, and what we're going to do is what you would want to do. Yeah, let's click back on that property because I need to see kind of where it is in the map, right? So you can see here, it's right off of Weirs Valley Road. It's right off of Cherokee Way, right? It's right at the angle there. So let's kind of zoom out to get a good idea. Yep, so right at the first little curve there. I don't know, however you want to do it. But you can kind of go in now and zoom that, right? Because obviously Airbnb is showing you all the ones that have good SEO, and they're kind of suggesting you first. But as you kind of drill in, you should get into your neighborhood, and then you can kind of start doing competitors, some of the competitors in your neighborhood. So this is kind of the area here, and so you see a lot of places that are available, and you can see the comps here. Then you would kind of go in each one, check out how much their occupancy, or they look like they're booked up. Let's check out one real quick. Look at the reviews. Look at how your competition is doing. Do they have great photos? All those different things you want to make sure you check out, and then start looking at the rate and check. I would say a few different ranges here. Bam. Well, they have a minimum. Look like they're pretty booked. Try a couple different months and get an idea here, right? Maybe 90 days. Of course, January is a slow month. And just start to get a feel for, what that average daily rate is in this period. So that's basically the thing that you would do there. And then you would come over here and have a pretty good idea. And I'm just going to, make up something here. But, let's say it's, 3, 50, 80. You know, maybe you figured out something a little different and it's a 75%. Let's just make it favorable. Okay, bam. Now the next one is call a property manager in that area, right? So what you want to do is get your phone, very similar to the one I have right here, and call Vacasa, I don't know how to say it. There's all kinds of ones, you know, pick like some of the top 3 that are out there. In this case, I've got the number, so I'm going to go ahead and dial it. It's going to be 8675309. Some of you 80s people that grew up in that time, you know what I'm talking about. Hello? Yeah. Hey, how you doing? My name is Stan, and I'm looking at a property. Here's the address. Give them the address. And I'm kind of wondering what the short-term rental comps would be in that area for this address, and kind of thinking about doing it myself, or you know what it would take to manage it by another property manager. I don't know. Figure out what you gotta say here. Oh, okay. Wow. Is this Jenny? Yeah. 8675309, right? Okay, cool. So figure out how to get, you can call 1, 2, whatever you want to do. That's just another data point. You got to take that with a grain of salt, right? They're trying to kind of selling you something as well. So anybody that's trying to sell you something, you got to take it with a grain of salt. So let's go ahead and just plug that number in. Okay, now here's where you can just go in and find specific properties and start to put their links here so you can kind of research them. And so that's kind of my next step. So that's, you know, really what you kind of want to do there. Again, hey, maybe MLS, let's take a look at it to see if they actually said anything. It's new, so I don't think they may say, hey, oh yeah, see, rental income of 85 to 95,000 per year. Well, it's a data point. Honestly, for this price here, you're going to have to be a 90 plus, I'm telling you, on the interest rates. So this said 85,000. Okay. And then my gut, you know, honestly, I know these, you know, percentile wise, it's a very nice one. Honestly, I'm probably I'm just going to say like 83,000. That's just my gut. And this is, I don't know. I haven't put a lot of thought into this. I normally put a lot more into this after I go through all the properties and that sort of thing. I have a better gut feeling here. But anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at, guys. So that's kind of it. Now we get to the fun stuff. We're just going to go ahead and quickly plug these numbers in to this spreadsheet here. Now, again, you can download these spreadsheets. This one's off of Rob Built. He's got a YouTube channel. I'm also in his host camp, which is really cool and exciting. Learning a lot on that one. And you can also get these at Bigger Pockets. They're kind of like the king of all these different calculators, and they kind of started a lot of that, right? And again, the Real Estate Robinsons also has one, just to name a few. So figure out which ones, and there's also some online calculators, but I love these because, again, they're short-term rental specific, right? Which is really cool because there's a couple things like cleaning fees. Do you include cleaning fees? Okay, let's just go ahead and quickly plug these in. 849,900. And we're going to do a 10%. Second home, and we'll say closing costs 3%, and we're going to say remodel. Yeah, we'll just kind of leave all this. This is pretty new. I'm going to say, I'll reduce that down a little bit more. This is maybe like, you know, the flights there and some other things that you're going to need to do setting up. Maybe some miscellaneous stuff. Remodel, I don't think you're going to need a lot here, but let's just keep a little bit. So anyway, Legal, let's say, after the fact, you end up putting it in your LLC after you get the loan and get all that straight. And then seller credit, this is if you say, hey, if you pay 3% closing or 6% closing, that will be basically go towards your estimated cash to close. So that's kind of it there. And I'm going to say a 7 point, let's just say 5%, which I think 7.5, 7.6, you're going to be different. It depends on your debt to income, your credit score. There's some things that this moves around. So, I would just say it's higher than it's been, and you'll just have to figure that out. Okay, the rest of this is pretty much a no-brainer. You've got a PMI, and I'm going to say it's probably 360, and then you've got a HOA. I don't know if they actually showed that, but you can get all that information right off here, including your tax estimates and that sort of thing. So HOA, $150. So, hey, I was close. Okay, good enough. So your monthly payment, now this is your expense side, right? For your, basically this is the expense for the mortgage, okay? So a lot of this really can't change unless you put more down. You get the price down, right? Because that's what I would suggest, get this price down. Okay, now let's just kind of plug into some of these things here. Let's just go back to our other data set and pick a data point here. So let's just say, I think I want to get to like a 82,000, somewhere like that. And we'll just go ahead and pick one. We'll go ahead and start with PriceLabs, 341, 58%. So I guess we'll start with that at a 58%. All right, close enough. And then I'm just going to bump this up until I'm like at the 82, because I don't have the actual ADL right here. Let's kind of play with it. All right, so anyway, close enough for right now. I know a lot of you guys are going to be commenting, no, it's not close enough. That's a lot. I don't care. All right, so let's just say that's close enough for perfect. Now, the only other thing you would want to do, utilities. This is at an annual cost, about $600 a month. Maintenance costs, you want to put some away for maintenance. You want to put some away for emergency fund, especially, however you want to manage it. But so these are the different things here. Management fee, 0. Paying a manager. Oh, this would actually be the booking platform is 3%. You may want to do that 4% just because of Verbo, but that's fine for now. All right, so having that, where are we at here? And then this is partner. We want 100% to us. Nightly rental. Damn, we're negative. Wow. Cleaning fee. And this is going to be, let's say, at least 150. And you're going to have 6. Wow, this is really upside down. That's all I'm telling you, man. I've ran a lot of these, and for 849,000, you start plugging in 70, 80,000s. No, honestly, if this was managed super well, no, you could probably, in my opinion, I feel like you could get this to a 90-ish. Let's just say that. If you did really well. Now, here's the thing. Don't start playing numbers and make them work for you. The numbers are the numbers kind of thing. So, you can start like doing different variations of it. But honestly, it just doesn't work, even if you had, if you went back in time in your DeLorean and you did a 3%. Okay. Well, now we've got 900. Let's see. Now we got 1,500 there and a 14. We're close to 15% cash on cash return, which is kind of where I'm targeting right now based on the interest. But like I said, maybe you could get a 6% interest rate. Yeah. So anyway, the comps don't work on this house. Again, you can maybe get it cheaper. So some things you can do is say, hey, maybe I get it for 805. And then if you get sellers, that just impacts it. You could pay down the points if you wanted to. So that's one thing that you could do. That's a strategy, right? Pay down your points. And you can also apply this to the cash to close if you had a 3% or 6%. So you could get this interest rate down. Again, I've got this kind of low now. Get this back to 7.5, back to reality. But yeah, so if you start paying that down, that's one strategy. But honestly, this one's just too upside down in my opinion. So anyway, that's basically comping. I've been doing a lot of this, and so I do have some big news that's going to come in the next video, and so I can't wait to share the news with you. But I appreciate everybody watching, and keep comping away. And it's like anything, do reps. I've been doing them straight. I mean, I've been doing late nights and just learning and just playing with the numbers, and waking up like I'm trying to model pigeons on a window. What movie was that from? I love that movie. A Beautiful Mind. Mine's kind of ugly, but anyway. We'll check you on the next video, guys. Hope this was helpful for you. Please like, comment, subscribe below. See you on the next one.